Out here, no one hears your first shot or your last breath. You're alone, floating between steel corridors and the cold vacuum of deep space. Your pulse sinking with the flicker of failing lights. Every corner hides a predator. Every mistake writes your epitaph in zero gravity, and yet this is where the hunt begins. Welcome to Deadzone Rogue, a roguelike FPS where death is not the end but the beginning of power. One run at a time, one choice at a time, you adapt, you evolve, you seek revenge on the very chaos that consumed you. It's a game that lures you with silence, then slams you into raw, kinetic firefights, where stealth and spectacle blur. One moment you're stalking, the next you're unleashing elemental devastation that freezes, burns, and obliterates. And here's the twist. With each failure, you grow stronger. With each revival, more dangerous. But be warned, Deadzone Rogue isn't just about firepower. It's about persistence. Will you push deeper into the void, or will you fall? Another forgotten soul lost in the Deadzone. Let's find out. So, what exactly is Deadzone Rogue? On the surface, it's a roguelike first-person shooter set in the blackest depths of space. But beneath that, it's a test of adaptability, a sandbox of chaos and creativity wrapped in sleek sci-fi style. You enter a derelict space station, one of many. No crew, no backup, just shifting corridors and unpredictable threats. Every level is procedurally generated, meaning no two runs will ever feel quite the same. You'll fight, die, and fight again, each time gaining new augments and weapons that permanently shift your combat style. The visual aesthetic? Think industrial future meets space horror, with clean UI and sharp textures that punch above its indie price tag. It ran buttery smooth at 1080p 60 FPS on an RTX 2080. Optimized. Well, even for older rigs. You've got a few graphics toggles to tweak, but for most, it'll be plug and play. And here's where it stands out. Deadzone Rogue understands its roguelike DNA. You will be underpowered at first. You will die. But the loop is addictive. Come back smarter, stronger, hungrier. Whether solo or in 3-player co-op, this is a game that asks, how far can you push yourself before the void swallows you whole? At its heart, Deadzone Rogue is a brutal, beautiful loop of tension and release. It thrives on that roguelike rhythm we crave. Fight, die, revive, stronger every time. Each run begins in stealth. You're dropped into the belly of a Forsaken. Station, sensors cold, weapon drawn. And here's the first twist. Enemies can't see you, yet. You walk right past them, observing, learning. This gives you rare moments of tactical clarity. You can plan ambushes, scope out elemental barrels, fire, frost, corrosive, and set the stage for chaos. Then, the fight begins. You break stealth, and the world erupts. Enemies swarm, bots deploy, grenades fly, elemental effects chain across the battlefield in glorious carnage. As you push through each level, you gather a currency dropped by enemies. Between stages, you spend it at a fabricator, part armory, part mad scientist's bench. Here, you can buy new weapons, upgrade your favorites from green to legendary, or re-roll their elemental procs for insane synergy. And the builds? They're endless. Maybe you favor cryo rounds that slow enemies to a crawl, or fire grenades that create chain explosions. Combine augments with weapon mods, and every run feels uniquely yours. It's a loop that feeds mastery and obsession. While Deadzone Rogue is built for lone wolves, it truly howls in co-op. Let's start with solo play. I spent about 4 hours going it alone, and the experience holds up. You'll rely on bots, combat drones you can unlock mid-run that serve, as both damage dealers and tactical distractions. They buy you precious seconds to flank larger enemies, target weak spots, and control the flow of battle. Every enemy has a soft spot. Headshots, of course, but elite mobs often hide theirs on flanks or backs, rewarding smart positioning. But when you bring in friends, the game transforms. In 3-player co-op, Deadzone Rogue becomes a sandbox of synergy. Each player can build their loadout to complement the team, one specializing in cryogenic debuffs, another in raw DPS, another stacking bots. The result? Glorious, coordinated chaos. One of the game's most unique mechanics, the stealth phase, shines here. You and your squad can scout, plan, and coordinate explosive ambushes. I've never seen this level of pre-battle strategy in a roguelike FPS before. The feeling of cracking the first boss with a perfectly timed trio of elemental combos? Unmatched. But be warned, the deeper you go, the tighter the teamwork needs to be. In the void, hesitation means death. If there's one thing Deadzone Rogue doesn't lack, it's enemies. And not just cannon fodder. You'll face an entire bestiary of nightmares, each demanding different strategies. Some of them we gave our own names. Midstream, knuckle draggers, hulking. Brutes swinging massive maces, rushing straight into your face. They force movement, stand still, and you're done. Then there are the spider mutants, twisted human forms that spit corrosive bile across the map. Creepy? Oh yeah. Deadly? Absolutely. You'll encounter missile bots that harass from distance, tiny suicide spiders that leave toxic AoE on death, and heavily armored elite robots that soak damage unless you target their weak points. And the bosses? Colossal. Multi-phase. Each one designed with environmental hazards and elemental interactions in mind. Find the weak spots, set your traps, trigger devastating chain reactions. But here's the magic. Your weapons are just as varied. With 30-plus weapons, SMGs, LMGs, snipers, melee axes, elemental grenades, you're constantly experimenting. Maybe you run a cryo build to slow melee attackers or stack fire procs for DOT explosions. There's deep synergy here. Combine freeze with fire for an overheat chain or stack corrosive damage to melt elites. And when 3 co-op players bring wildly different builds into the same fight, that's when the true mayhem begins. Now, no game is perfect, and Deadzone Rogue is no exception. For all its chaotic fun, a few cracks do show through the steel plating. First, difficulty balancing. Some levels feel almost too easy, especially in co-op. There were runs where we barely left stealth before the entire map was cleared. With 2 of us running 5 bots each, yes, 10 AI allies on the field, we were steamrolling entire enemy waves, even on hard difficulty. It's exhilarating, until it's not. The lack of tension on certain stages undermines the roguelike promise of hard-earned progression. Similarly, boss encounters, while visually impressive, sometimes feel undertuned in co-op. One first-stage boss, we melted it in seconds. That cathartic burst was fun, but also a little disappointing. I'd love to see bosses with scaling health and mechanics that adapt to larger player counts. Level pacing can also be uneven. Some maps deliver non-stop action. Others feel like filler, short, unmemorable arenas where enemies drop like flies. Finally, while the stealth mechanic is brilliant, it can occasionally trivialize encounters if not carefully balanced. But here's the thing. These are tunable issues. With a few balancing passes, Deadzone Rogue could tighten its difficulty curve and keep the thrill alive across every stage. So, is Deadzone Rogue worth your time for 20 bucks? I'd say absolutely. It's a rare thing. A roguelike FPS that nails the feel of moment-to-moment combat and keeps you coming back for one more run. The gunplay is crisp, the build variety deep, and the co-op experience? Pure adrenaline. Sure, it's not flawless. Some levels could use tightening, and boss scaling needs work. But the core loop, scout, ambush, obliterate, upgrade, is addictive. And that unique stealth phase, it adds tactical depth most shooters overlook. If you're a fan of games like Risk of Rain, Gunfire, Reborn, or Deep Rock Galactic, you'll feel right at home here. And if you've never tried a roguelike FPS, Deadzone Rogue is a great place to start. Now I want to hear from you. Have you played it? Got any killer builds or crazy co-op moments to share? Drop them below. Let's swap war stories. And if you're still on the fence, just remember, in space, death is only the beginning.